Okay, so should I start?
Yeah, start talking. It's fine.
Good morning, everyone. We would like to welcome you all to our presentation, which is based on the topic Heat Death of the Universe. The name of our group is Raychaudhuri, and we are three in number: Priya Tamang, Subhayu Bose, and myself, Ashweni Chettri. Next. Our group is named after an Indian physicist named Amol Kumar Raychaudhuri, who is known for his research in general relativity and cosmology. His most significant contribution is the Raychaudhuri equation, which demonstrates that singularity arises naturally in general relativity and is a key ingredient in a proof of Penrose-Hawking singularity theorem. Next. So, okay, let us start with the quote which says, "Everything that starts has to end, and so does the universe, which started 13.8 billion years ago, has to end." This quote is true. For example, a tree, an animal, a human, or say a bigger object like the sun or other stars, all this has their birth and will also have their death in the future. Next. But, but why am I saying all this to you? Well, the main objective of me saying this to you informed about the fact that our universe will also come to an end one day. But the question is how. Basically, there are two main theories regarding the end of the universe. Firstly, the Big Crunch, which is the construction of the universe to a state of extremely high density and temperature, that is hypothetically opposite to Big Bang, and 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 the heat death. Okay, next. So what? So what is heat death? It's the idea that the universe will eventually run out of free energy, maximum entropy will be reached, and thus the universe will be unable to perform work, and everything will come to a terrifying halt, will be unable to support life. Say, for example, imagine you are trapped in a room but nothing can escape from the room, no heat, no energy, no matter. Seem like a scary idea. Next. From where did this scary idea come from? This idea came from the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the entropy of an isolated system never decreases, because isolated all systems always evolve towards thermodynamic equilibrium, which is a state with maximum entropy. In a very short and simple way, we can say that the universe tends towards a state of disorder to reach equilibrium. Next. As of now, I have talked a lot about entropy, but what is entropy? Entropy is defined as a measure of randomness or disorder of a system. You can look into the comic illustration to get an idea of disorder. Things in the universe do not tend to remain in a proper order, but in a disorder. Next, please. So, is there anyone responsible for such a terrifying idea? Yes, there is, and his name is William Thomson, and also known as Lord Kelvin. So now, Subhayu Bose will be speaking forward on this topic. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Now the question arises, what is expected to happen from this heat death? Well, as described by Lord Kelvin, the result would inevitably be a state of universal rest and death, only if the universe were finite. But it is impossible to conceive a limit to the extent of the matter of the universe, and therefore science points rather to an endless progress, to an endless space of action involving the transformation of potential energy into palpable motion, and hence into heat, than a single finite mechanism running down like a clock and stopping forever. Next slide, please. Okay, now I've started worrying a bit. How much time have I got before this happens? Well, luckily for us, we needn't worry about the heat death of the universe adversely affecting our lives. But why so? Well, because the best estimates that we have about 10 to the power 103 years before the universe comes to an inevitable halt. And trust me, that amount of time is more than enough to complete our college, get settled in life, and die peacefully. Unless you are some kind of immortal alien species. And even before that, the sun is going to engulf us. So, you don't care about it. So, next slide, please. Here's a very good and realistic quote saying every film is incomplete without an antagonist. Or you can also say the coin has two sides. Similarly, a theory is also incomplete with an antagonist, which I say as arguments. Next slide, please. The heat death has also got some arguments against it. So, number one, the Clausius paradox by Rudolf Clausius. So, who is Rudolf Clausius? Well, he's the man who first postulated the entropy. So, now talking about his arguments, if we strictly use his very strict views on the second law of thermodynamics, assuming that the universe is eternal, it would only make sense that the heat death should have already been reached by now, but that isn't the case. However, this argument actually accomplished was that it allowed us to rule out an indefinitely and old universe. Number two, Planck's argument. Well, Max Planck wrote that the phrase entropy of the universe has no meaning at all because it admits of no accurate definition. He was staunchly against working with this idea, as he believed without a quantifiable way to measure entropy, there was nothing that could be gained from it. Number three, Professor H. A. Buchtel's argument. In his book, Professor H. A. Buchtel remarks that it is entirely unjustifiable assumption that the universe can be treated as a closed thermodynamic system. Next slide. And the list goes on of such arguments. There are more such arguments. Say, for example, in recent times, the scientist called Walter Grundy wrote that it is rather presumptuous to speak the entropy of the universe about which we still understand so little, and we wonder how might define thermodynamic entropy for a universe and its major constituents that have been in equilibrium in their entire existence. There is another scientist, Giovanni Galabotti, who says that there is no universally accepted notion for entropy for a system out of equilibrium, even when it is in stationary state. There are more such opinions. Say, for example, there is Landsberg opinion. The third, he says that the third misconception is that thermodynamics, and particular in concept of entropy, that we can, without further inquiry, be applied to the whole universe. These questions have certain fascinations, but the answers are speculations and lie beyond the scope of book. Next slide, please. Well, after listening to that number of arguments against the heat death theory, and even more that I didn't talk about, my head is stuck with one final question. Why do we even need to care about this theory? Well, I know that even if this is not happening within few years or so, but even why are we discussing about it? Well, the reasons are number one, we are still in a dilemma of understanding the ultimate fate of the universe. That's the human curiosity. Number two, we are still growing in our knowledge regarding the thermodynamics. Number three, in future, with better understanding of physics, we can understand more about the universe, especially in the field of cosmology. And number four, and speaking very subjectively, it's pretty darn obvious, as Ashwini mentioned in the first quote, that everything that starts has to end. So, it's very simple. We can say that we live in a society where our generations are too old to discover the world and too young to explore the universe. Next slide. So today we discussed about these many topics. and more or less, despite the fact that we'll be dead long before it happens, we should find out why will what will happen to the universe. With this, we'll come to an end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhayu. Thank you, Ashwini.
Well done, well done. Dasa, do you have any questions for them?
I joined after they have begun this thing. Moreover, I have got rudimentary idea about cosmological phenomena and other things. I only ask you that why should you say that entropy is a measure of disorderedness? Can't we tell that entropy is also a measure of orderedness? Students, can you answer this thing? Mostly
Yes, so
people are saying that, yeah, how can you?
yes, so we can
Okay.
say that too, but I guess it's more appropriate to say entropy is a measure of disorderness because in universe, say for example, you're throwing bricks, the brick will not get properly ordered. Rather, it will fall down in some disorders. It will not fall in one above other, but it will get spread out. So I guess it's better to say that it's a measure of disorder.
But is it not true that it is also a measure of orderedness? On minor disorderedness.
Yes, we can
Isn't
say
it?
that.
So can I say something, sir?
Yeah.
So it's like saying how hot a body is, and we can also say how cold the body is. That's
Yeah.
Rudra,
the
you're
same
not part
thing
of this
too.
group, though. You're not supposed to answer for them.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Anybody can tell this thing.
Oh, okay, then
But
go ahead.
I hope that you have studied thermodynamics by that time. No.
No, sir.
Oh, acha, acha. So in details you will find that thermodynamics, entropy, and other things, and you will get the clear answer about this thing. Both way you can say that entropy is this thing. And there is no point in asking the question that all earthly phenomenon that we are observing around us, their entropy is always increasing. No question of decreasing, right? Particularly in irreversible system, entropy is always increasing. Anyway, I have no other question. But do you know about Professor Raychaudhuri? Your team has been identified as Raychaudhuri's group. Who was that gentleman? Any idea?
Yes, sir. Um, so he was a Indian physicist who is known for his
Yeah.
research in general relativity and cosmology.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So his significant contribution um, was it, which demonstrates the singularities arise inevitably in general relativity and is a key ingredient in proofs of Penrose-Hawkins singularity theorem.
Yeah, yeah. There is an equation known as Raychaudhuri's equation.
Yes, sir.
Raychaudhuri's equation. Do you know where he used to work? Any idea?
No, sir.
Very
Sir,
simple-minded.
he was a teacher in Jadavpur, I guess.
Presidency College.
Sorry, yes, sir, presidency.
When it was Presidency College only, not Presidency University. So he was a good teacher, no doubt. Of course, I have never met him. Only I have read some comment about him. But when we are research scholar, he was alive. He was teaching in Presidency at that time itself, right? Raychaudhuri's
Yes.
equation. Anyway, this is a matter of pride that we can say that one gentleman from Kolkata, many people from Kolkata, starting from C.V. Raman and other people. Kolkata at that time, at the beginning of the Indian science and other thing, Kolkata was a seat of learning. It was a Mecca. Anyway, this is other than the topic. It is related to our country or state, whatever it may be. I have no other question. Your presentation is good. I mean, the information that you have collected to present this thing, I appreciate. I appreciate that thing, right? Nicely you have
Thank you, sir.
presented the information. Okay, then other people can ask the question. Others, I mean, Sujata, Vikram sir, Prajwal, and Mayur sir.
Do the students have any questions?
Yeah. Don't answer in this way. That what is the point in studying this thing? By the time it will be, I mean, the universe will end, we won't be there. It doesn't make any sense. Right? So answer in a positive way. Of course, the
Yes, sir.
reason Subhayu has nicely described why should we pursue this thing? Why should we be bothered about this thing? Subhayu has nicely told. Other than this thing, do you have any other question you can put?
Okay, the students can also type questions in chat if their mics are not working. I'll just say I really like the presentation. I love the topic about the possible futures of the universe. It's very interesting in terms of physics. It's also a lot of interesting science fiction has come out of it. The heat death and the big rip, they're all quite interesting topics. So I quite like them. I enjoyed this presentation quite a bit. So well done for all three of you. Just to add to Das's talk about Dr. Raychaudhuri, Raychaudhuri's equations is a part of what is called the Hawking-Penrose singularity theorems, which is basically whether or not general relativity allows for singularities. There's a lot of, it's a very in-depth mathematical work. And if you all don't know, Roger Penrose won the last Nobel Prize. So last year when the Nobel Prize was announced, Penrose won the Nobel Prize. If Stephen Hawking would have been alive, I'm pretty sure he would also have been a co-winner of that same Nobel Prize. A large reason why.
Just a minute.
Yes,
but at that time, when Stephen Hawking was alive, at that time also Nobel Committee was in a fix whether a Nobel Prize will be given for a topic which has got no practical application.
No, that is true, sir. Also because till then nobody had taken the photograph of the black hole yet, so we never had direct observational proof of the existence of black holes. Only indirect gravitational proof. It's the photograph that actually finally was the final proof that black holes exist. So, but unfortunately, by then Hawking had already passed away. The Penrose-Hawking theorems are one of the core reasons why Penrose got the Nobel Prize, and Dr. Raychaudhuri is a core reason why those theorems are valid. Like his work was part of those proofs. So he is important in terms of the context of a Nobel Prize winning amount of work. So he was a very, very good physicist, not as well known as some of the other Indian physicists like Saha and Bose and all, unfortunately, but still very, very good. I actually don't have any questions about this. This is either it's there are only two ways you can present this. Either you present it like how you did it, which is you give a general overview of the topic, or you go into a lot of detail, a lot of technical detail, which obviously you guys are not prepared to do, and we as an audience are not ready to, like, we don't have the knowledge to listen to. So I quite like the topic. If you're, excuse me, can you go to slide number 15, Rudra? Is it 15 or 16? Just go to 16. You don't have to full screen it, just yeah. So the heat death is 10 to the power 103 years. Just to give you an idea of how long it is, the current age of the universe is about 10 to the power 18 seconds. Okay, so now you have an idea of how long heat death is going to be. Aside from that, I saw a few formatting issues, but I'm guessing that's because it was made on one computer and then sent to another computer. Because I've noticed, like, I think some of your thing is being cut off towards the end over there. And I'm pretty sure that's an issue because it started on one computer and then there was some formatting issue when you transferred it to Rudra's computer. Is that what happened?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the one of the big reasons why I tend to recommend Google Slides, because Google Slides is always standardized on every computer. But I won't hold that against you. One thing is, Rudra, can you scroll up the list of slides on the side? Just scroll up. Yeah, so go down. Go down a bit. Go down some more. Go to slide 14. Yeah, so here you quote Dr. Grandi and Dr. Galavotti. If you quote people, one of the things you'd like to do is you'd actually like to put the quotation on the slide when you're quoting them, because you actually want the people to read the quotation. Okay, so that is the one suggestion that I'd give. Aside from that, I really, really love this topic. So I'm always happy to hear something about this. I quite love the heat death. For those of you who are interested, there's a YouTube channel called Isaac Author who talks about science futurism. He does talk about various universe death scenarios and how intelligent civilizations can exist in those scenarios. So you're always welcome to look that up. But I don't have any other questions. Very well done. And that's it from me.
Okay. I also liked the presentation. It was excellent. Ashwini, Subhayu, you did excellent job. Only I noticed a small mistake. Rudra, go to the slide of entropy. Yeah, you see the sentence and see the spelling of entropy. Okay, so your slide is about entropy and there is a mistake in the spelling of entropy. So only that mistake I have noticed, and overall presentation was very, very good. And no question from my side.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nirupan had a question. Is there any way we can stop heat depth? Okay, can one of you answer it?
So actually, we don't know about the heat depth totally. We even don't know that is it gonna happen or not. As I told you, there are two possibilities: either the big crunch or the heat death. So first of all, we don't know which one is gonna happen, and stopping something that is beyond our limitations or beyond our imagination is not possible.
That's okay. So if there is going to be, let's say that at the end of the day, you can only have a heat death scenario. Is there any way to reverse it?
No, sir, there isn't anyway.
Because?
So because it's a huge scale, sir. We cannot control anything that big happening in the universe.
That's a very vague answer. The answer you'd want to give is because this is fundamentally the second law of thermodynamics is leading to the heat depth. So you need to basically reverse the second law, which, as far as we know, does not happen on a large scale, on a universe scale. So that would be the sort of the answer you'd want to give.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right.
It was a very good presentation. I really liked it. And the main objective of presentation, which is to connect the audiences. And you people have achieved that. And I'm very happy that you have really brushed up yourself into this presentation skills. Especially very low, less texts were there. And then, the texts were catchy. And we were really able to connect with the presentations. And well done, Ashweni and Subhayu. Apart from questions, I had that thing which Sudhata ma'am mentioned, entropy. That is it. So because you are discussing about the topic entropy, and you cannot afford to make that type of mistake. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well done, everyone. This is going to be a very short talk. I'm going to do a very, very short talk now. Just I want to add one. Sorry, Mike, sir, you had questions. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think I skipped in between. No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a very good presentation, and I think Ashwini, for the first time, gave any presentation as far as I remember. She's more into sports activities, so very well done. Okay, and please keep up this thing. I remember that last time also you couldn't attend some presentation due to your sports activities. Very well done, and well done, Subhayu. And the best thing was that I liked your timely humor. That is also required. Whenever to click what thing, just to see whether your audience is not, sleeping or getting bored. Okay, these are very good things. And other thing is that you did little bit of research regarding Professor Raychaudhuri. There's a small documentary on YouTube. I'll just send you the link. You can see there how in I think around 2005 or 6 when he was called by the alumni of Presidency College. He was giving a presentation where it was just photographs taken from his handwritten notes, and he was explaining it very beautifully. Anyways, everything was good. Very least text given, and everything was fine. So, how long did you take to do this research on this topic? I'm asking both of you. How long did it take to study all these things?
So a week or so, sir. A week at least.
Okay. So, what thing did you rely mostly upon? What's the resources?
So we were in the website called script.com.
Okay. And did you follow any textbook, any textbooks or anything?
Yes, actually I was following my class 11 textbook, where they're referring to thermodynamics a little bit.
Yeah, well done, and thank you, Rudranil, for helping them out. The slides were also changed on time. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's all. And I think you should keep up this habit of presenting in the future. Okay, that's all from
So,
my side. Yes,
can I say something, sir?
sure, sure.
So, actually, we also need to thank Priya. She did maximum of the work with the slides and all. And also Rudranilda, who presented for us. Thank you both.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate that Priya couldn't join this day. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Priya, as well. Okay, Bikramji sir, you may continue.